so deep, you just cannot sleep. For all that's surrounding you, everything's said, circles your head. You feel like you're drowning, but here in the shadow, you know I won't leave you alone. I said I would never.
The endometriosis symptoms that I experienced were mainly just pain. At first it sort of started on my left side and then it was kind of all over. As well as the pain, I would experience like really bad moods. Not only that, but I'd feel really sick, like I was going to vomit. I would get really bad bowels, a lot of piercing pains. I'd get quite sore ovaries, really heavy periods, just things like that.
The biggest symptom for me was just constant pelvic pain, regardless of whether I had my period or not. It was just constant pelvic pain, and sometimes it was normally just a dull ache, but it would also sometimes flare up suddenly, which would actually really knock me back because it would be so unexpected. On the worst days, the pain would be like a 9.
The kind of pain that I would experience was the kind of pain where I'd need to go in an ambulance and have laughing gas or morphine. It was drop to the floor, burst into tears and scream kind of pain. I kind of learned how to get on top of that with just using tramadol, but when it was bad, there was no way that anything was gonna slow it down.
The worst days for me are just having to lie down on my bed pretty much the entire day because I'm in too much pain to get up. Those days are the hardest because those are the days where you feel the most down about actually having the condition because you just feel like you actually can't do anything.
My worst days were the kind of days where I wouldn't get out of bed. I couldn't make myself get out of bed. They were the kind of days that I would not ever want to go back to. They were depressing and horrible. They were days where I would just cry in bed because I was in so much pain and there was nothing that I could do about it other than just take painkillers and use a heat pack.
Endometriosis has impacted my life in a really severe way. I've missed out on doing things with my friends because I didn't feel well or I was tired, and often that was stuff linked with school as well, so I would miss out. Because I was missing school so much, I would miss out on things like parties or social events with my friends. It's impacted working as well. Some days I couldn't go to my part-time job.
It's caused me to leave school and it's caused me to lose quite a lot of friends. It's caused me to lose a really good relationship with my father, but it's also had a really good impact on me and the fact that my relationship with my mum and my nana has become so much stronger because they know what I'm going through and they're so good at supporting me, and it's really helped having them about.
My friends were quite understanding. I think they tried to understand the condition. They tried to support me as best they could, but they didn't really understand what I was going through. So that was quite hard. I also lost some friendships because I just wasn't able to attend school, so some of those people I couldn't stay in touch with anymore.
They just sort of saw it as attention seeking, and they saw it as it wasn't something that they'd been through before, and it wasn't something that they really understood because they hadn't had heavy periods and they hadn't had sore tummies, you know, and so I think that they just weren't quite supportive and they didn't understand. The teachers that I had at school, they were really supportive, most of them were at least. I mean, I had a few teachers that didn't give me any leeway and just weren't willing to help at all, but then I had a really good teacher, Miss Tupp, who was amazing and she made Year 11 so much easier for me. She had endometriosis herself and she would give me extra work, and you know, she'd understand if I had a couple of weeks off and help get me up to where everyone else was up to, and it was really good.
What they should do is, let someone at the school know, preferably a dean, or, when you fill in your medical forms, make sure that it's on that. And we all have sort of different illnesses and different things, so don't be afraid to come forward and say that's what you have.
I actually had to end up getting my mum to write a letter about the condition and how it impacts my school life. Some of my teachers organised homeschooling sort of work for me when I couldn't make it, but most of them just didn't really help me at all, so that was quite disappointing.
Watching her go through that as a mum I couldn't do anything. And that was the frustrating part. We all felt so helpless. Yeah, if we made plans to go away as a family, often we had to cancel because she just wasn't up to going. We just all adapted as a family, our whole lives. We just worked around what Katie could handle.
We know that not everybody who has back bleeding develops endometriosis. Now, once again, this is my theory that it's the inability of the body to recognize these cells as being in an abnormal position from the abnormal position that probably is the underlying cause of endometriosis.
Endometriosis impacts students' study mainly due to the amount of time that they have to have off school for various reasons. It could be pain related, at certain times of the month, obviously that's a bit more of an issue than others. Also, often students have to have operations to remove the endometriosis, so they miss, a good chunk of time at that point. It impacts on their NCA results and their grades, and often, sort of at that time when internals are due, they miss a lot of content, or they miss the actual internals themselves, so have to catch up on that work. It's kind of like a vicious cycle because they miss work and then they have to catch up and then they've missed the next assessment, so yeah.